podcast, gbst 390. I'm Sabrina Goodman, and I did my response paper on Lisa Anderson's Demystifying the Arab Spring. Firstly, I want to say that the bread and butter of her paper was the context that she gave Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. Without the how and why and the backstory of each government, I don't think the paper would have been read as strongly. Instead, I think it actually would have been an opinion piece, and here's why. She oversimplified and overgeneralized the information about the demographics. She said that in Tunisia there was rural labor movements that started the uprising. First of all, that's not what happened. The uprising started with Mohammed Bouazizi, and he was a street vendor. I'm sure you heard of him. The police came to see if he had a permit for his vegetable stand. He did not. They confiscated it, and in response, he lit himself on fire. The reason why social media and the internet is important, and she says it's not, is because of the pictures that were posted of the results of this. And I'm going to use a visual aid to demonstrate my point. So I'm warning you for graphic content. The last thing I want to do is trigger anybody in class, but I'm using it to prove a point. So he was a young man, this is him, and here is the picture of him burning and setting himself on fire. I think only saying one side, maybe she was trying to appeal academically to her audience, but it's just one-dimensional and also inaccurate when you don't, and also disrespectful to the people who lost their lives. Secondly, she does bring up how the Egyptian Arab Spring started, their revolt started because of Khaled Said, who was a blogger that was killed by police. The reason why it's important to include this detailed information is because of the way in which he died and how it was so impactful to Egypt that everybody joined to fight this. That being said, he was at an internet cafe and he had just posted a video clip of police that were corrupt. They were handling illegal drugs. I'm sure you can understand what that means. And in the police report, it said that he died of asphyxiation from choking on hashish, and that he was pulled over or questioned because of having illegal weapons, which is not the case at all. And he did not die of asphyxiation. He died from brutal police force. In fact, when he was at the cafe, they handcuffed him, smashed his face on a marble shelf, dragged him out the door, smashed his head against an iron door, punched him, kicked him in the stomach, the face, and repeatedly slammed his head on the marble stairs and kicked him down the stairs. It was disgusting. I got chills when reading about it, and I only try to explain this story because this is important. She completely just kind of glazes over everything, and context is needed here as well. So again, this is another visual aid, and I don't want anybody to get triggered. So if you need to look away, look away. His face is unrecognizable. He was a young man as well, and you can see that his jaw is completely dismantled, and his nose is broken, and I can't even imagine what his family thought after seeing that. And so once it spread around the internet, that's what caused everything. And also, I think it's important to mention that she praised Egypt's protesters or demonstrators for being peaceful. She said their peaceful protests were non-violent. They had discipline, refusal to provoke by thugs, which maintained order and following the police disengagement. So this means that the police were no longer there, but what she fails to mention is that what actually happened during the protests is 846 people were killed, 6,400 people were injured during the protests as security forces fired live ammunition, placed snipers on the rooftops, and used vehicles to run over protesters. Not to mention 26 police officers lost their lives. So again, that's painting a false narrative. She's basically saying that she's a president of a university in Cairo, so maybe that's why, but she clearly just leaves out vital information, which I think is a key component in the uprisings, like why they were violent. And Egypt was not non-violent. They were non-violent after, but that's because the police were no longer engaged, and that was the problem in the first place. So moving forward, again, I think she did an incredible job with explaining what led up to each upheaval or each revolution. She mentioned that the Tunisian president and police were corrupt, strong institutions could replace them, the military, who does not have a part in the domestic economy, helped the movement because they did not support Ben Ali, the president, even though they were no longer involved in the transition period after the protests. And protesters are divided amongst those who support Islamist ideologies and those who are more democratic. So she talked about how the movement was also different. Then she speaks about the Egyptian government and how their fight for democracy was a lack of basic services, poverty, unemployment, freedom of expression, and police corruption, as I stated. Also, the president's son was connected to the business elite, which suggests more corruption, but the military was in good standing with Egypt's citizens. The only worry is that the hostility the military has for economic liberation and privatization sector growth, as they are deeply involved. Conversely, in Libya, there is a civil war. Tribes turned against each other. Gaddafi, it was kin and clan, fled the capital. There was artificial scarcity of goods during his reign, and institutions are divided. So comparing them is important. Knowing the differences between them is important, but oversimplifying information that caused all of the spark of the tinderboxes is vital. So I hope you liked my speech. Thanks for listening. Bye.